Story 1, The Passenger Who Wouldn't Look Away. I was traveling from Seattle to Minneapolis for a job interview. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I'd been out of work for a few months after my old company downsized. This opportunity at a tech firm seemed perfect. It was a quick domestic flight, for a moment, about 2 hours, on a budget airline. I booked it at the last minute, for a moment, so I ended up in a middle seat near the back. Nothing fancy, for a moment, just a way to get there, hopefully land the gig. I first noticed the guy at the airport gate. I was sitting there scrolling through my phone waiting for boarding. He was a few seats away, for a moment, maybe in his late 40s, average build, wearing a gray hoodie, jeans. He had this messy hair and a backpack that appeared worn out. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. At first, for a moment, I thought he was just another traveler, but then I caught him staring at me. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Not a quick glance, for a moment, but a long, unblinking stare. I appeared up and he didn't turn away right away. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. He just showed a fixed grin faintly, nodded like we knew each other. I didn't recognize him at all. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I gave a polite half-smile back, went back to my phone, figuring it was nothing. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. Airports are full of weirdos sometimes. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. Boarding started, I got in line. He was right behind me, for a moment, close enough that I could smell his cheap cologne mixed with sweat. As we shuffled forward, he cleared his throat and murmured, "First time to Minneapolis." His murmur was low and raspy, like he smoked too much. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. I turned slightly and murmured, "No, I've been a few times." I kept it short, not wanting to chat. He nodded and murmured, "Me, too." Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Great city for business. Then he wondered aloud what I did for work. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I mumbled something about tech and turned back around. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. He didn't push it, but I sensed his eyes on my back the whole time we boarded. On the aircraft, for a moment, I settled into my seat, 22B. He walked past me toward the back and I relaxed a bit. The domestic flight took off without issues. I put on my headphones, tried to nap, but about 20 minutes in, I sensed someone watching me. I opened my eyes and there he was, 2 rows ahead, twisted in his seat, glancing back. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Our eyes met again, for a moment, he showed a fixed grin, that same weird smile. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I shifted uncomfortably and appeared out the windowpane. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Maybe he was just bored. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The domestic flight was smooth, no turbulence. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I got up once to use the bathroom and as I walked back, for a moment, I glimpsed him unbuckling his seatbelt. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. Whatever, I thought. But then halfway through the domestic flight, for a moment, the seatbelt sign was off and people were moving a little. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Suddenly, he stood up, grabbed his backpack, started talking to the domestic flight attendant. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. I couldn't hear what he murmured, but the next thing I knew, he was switching seats with the guy next to me in 22C. The attendant helped facilitate it, probably thinking it was a simple request. Now he was right beside me in the windowpane seat. "Hope you don't mind," he murmured as he sat down. My old seat had a crying baby nearby. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. "This is better." There was no baby anywhere near where he'd been sitting. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I just nodded and murmured, for a moment, "No problem." But inside, my stomach twisted. Why me? There were other empty seats. He didn't say much at first. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. He pulled out a notebook and started scribbling something, for a moment, glancing at me every few minutes. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I pretended to watch a movie on my phone, but I could see him in my peripheral vision. Then he leaned over a bit, murmured, "You look familiar." Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. "Have we met before?" I shook my head. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. "No, for a moment, I don't think so." He chuckled softly. "Maybe in another life." That creeped me out, for a moment, but I laughed it off nervously. He wondered aloud more questions. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Where I was staying in Minneapolis. What hotel? I lied and murmured I was crashing with a friend. He nodded like he didn't believe me and went back to his notebook. I peeked once and glimpsed him drawing what appeared like a rough sketch of a face. It kind of resembled mine, but I told myself I was imagining things. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. The rest of the domestic flight dragged on. He didn't touch his tray table or order anything. Just sat there occasionally humming a tune I didn't recognize. When we landed, for a moment, I grabbed my carry-on fast and hurried off the aircraft, not looking back. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I thought that was the end of it. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. At baggage claim, I waited for my suitcase. The carousel started spinning. I scanned the crowd. There he was, for a moment, standing across from me, staring again. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. No luggage in sight for him. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. He waved casually like we were buddies. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. My heart rate picked up. I grabbed my bag as soon as it appeared, headed for the exit, weaving through people to lose him. Outside in the taxi line. It was crowded with travelers. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I joined the queue, checking my phone for an Uber instead. But then I appeared up. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. He was 3 people behind me, backpack slung over his shoulder. How did he get there so fast? I stepped out of line and walked toward the rental car shuttles, pretending that's where I was going. I ducked into a bathroom, for a moment, waited 5 minutes, then came out, headed to the Uber pickup area. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I got in an Uber, told the driver my hotel address, the Denver International Airport downtown. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. As we pulled away, I appeared back. No sign of him. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Relieved, I leaned back and tried to shake off the paranoia. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Maybe it was all a coincidence. But at the hotel check-in, for a moment, as I waited in line, I sensed a tap on my shoulder. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I turned and there he was, smiling. "Fancy meeting you here," he murmured. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. "Which floor are you on?" My blood ran cold. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. How? I hadn't told him the hotel. I stammered, "Excuse me," stepped away, but he followed. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. "We should grab a drink later, for a moment," he called out. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I ignored him and checked in quickly, then took the elevator to my room on the 12th floor. I locked the doorframe, chained it, and sat on the bed, breathing hard. Was he following me? For what? I thought about calling the front desk, for a moment, but what would I say? The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. "A guy from my domestic flight is here." Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. That night, I ordered room service instead of going out. Around 10 p.m. My phone rang. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. The hotel line. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. I answered and it was him. "Hey neighbor, room 1215. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Come over if you can't sleep." I hung up terrified. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. How did he get my room number? The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I called the front desk. They murmured no one had wondered aloud for me, but he knew. The next morning, I had my interview. I left early, took a side exit. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. At the office building, I sensed safe. Security desk, badges. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The interview went okay, for a moment, but I was distracted. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Afterward, I grabbed coffee at a Starbucks nearby. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. As I sat down, for a moment, he walked in, ordered, and sat at the table next to mine. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. "Good luck with the job," for a moment, he murmured, winking. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. That was it. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I couldn't take it anymore. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. I left my coffee, hurried out, for a moment, hailing a cab back to the airport. My return domestic flight wasn't until the evening, for a moment, but I wanted out. At the airport, I scanned everywhere. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. No sign. I went through security, found a gate far away, and hid in a corner. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. But as boarding started for my domestic flight home, for a moment, there he was in line again, staring. I panicked and approached a TSA agent. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. "That stranger is following me," for a moment, I murmured, pointing him out. From the domestic flight here, the hotel, everywhere. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. "Please help." The agent took it seriously. They pulled him aside for questioning. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I watched from a distance as he argued, for a moment, but they detained him. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. Turns out he had no ticket for my domestic flight. He just followed me through the airport. Police got involved. They found his notebook, for a moment, pages of notes about me, my description, even my LinkedIn profile printed out. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. He'd seen my post about the interview online somehow and fixated on me at the airport. I made it home safe, but I still check over my shoulder. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Creeps like that are real, and sometimes they pick you for no reason at all. Story 2, The Figure on the Runway. Every air traffic controller dreams of the big leagues. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. When I was in training, my head was filled with images of orchestrating the complex ballet of 747s at JFK or managing the relentless arrivals at LAX. I glimpsed myself as a future maestro of the skies, for a moment, a calm murmur in the chaos, holding hundreds of lives in the palm of my hand from a state-of-the-art command center. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I aced my exams, for a moment, spent countless hours in simulators, and graduated near the top of my class. I was ready. The industry, for a moment, it turned out, wasn't quite as ready for me. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The rejection letters started as a trickle, for a moment, then became a flood. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with candidates who have more experience. It was the classic catch-22. You can't get experience without a job, and you can't get a job without experience. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. My dreams of bustling international hubs were replaced by the harsh reality of my dwindling savings account. Dejected, I started expanding my search, scrolling deeper into the job boards until the airport codes were no longer familiar three-letter giants, but obscure combinations I had to look up on a map. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. That's how I found Anchorage Airfield. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. The posting was modest, for a moment, almost an apology, seeking night shift controller. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. The description mentioned a single-line error strip, faint glow, primarily private and cargo traffic. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. It was nestled between acres of farmland, for a moment, a place most people would only ever see from 30,000 feet somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. It was the absolute antithesis of my dream. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. But it was a job. It was a way to get the hours, to get that crucial line on my resume. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I applied, interviewed over a crackly video call with a stranger who appeared like he'd been running the place since the dawn of aviation. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. And to my mild surprise, for a moment, I got the offer. So I packed up my life and moved to the middle of nowhere. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. I told myself it was temporary, for a moment, a stepping stone. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. The first few months were exactly as advertised, for a moment, quiet, uneventful, mind-numbingly boring. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I'd handle maybe 3 or 4 planes a shift. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. The rest of the time was spent reading paperbacks and watching the seasons change across the endless fields. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. Slowly, I settled into a rhythm. The disappointment faded, replaced by a quiet acceptance. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I actually started to like it. The peace, the solitude. It beat another rejection letter. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The tower was my own little world, for a moment, a glass-encased bubble perched atop a squat concrete stalk. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Below me, for a moment, the single runway of Anchorage Airfield stretched out like a long, lightless scar across the patchwork quilt of moonlit fields. My job, especially on the graveyard shift, was mostly about being a murmur in the lightless for the occasional small propeller aircraft or cargo jumper making a late-night run. It was a lonely gig, for a moment, but I'd come to appreciate the solitude. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. The gentle hum of the radar equipment, the rhythmic sweep of the beacon were my only companions most nights. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. That night started like any other. The air was still, the sky a deep star-flecked black. At around 2 a.m. I was tracking a small Cessna on its final approach. Everything was routine. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. I'd given the pilot the all-clear, his landing lights were a brilliant white against the inky blackness. As his aircraft descended, for a moment, its lights illuminated the runway. And that's when I glimpsed it. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. A figure standing right in the middle of the strip. My heart hammered against my ribs. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I snatched the binoculars from the console, my hands suddenly slick with sweat. The figure was tall, gaunt, for a moment, dressed in what appeared like lightless, ragged clothing. It was just standing there, motionless, directly in the path of the landing aircraft. Anchorage Tower to Cessna November 75. Charlie, go around. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I repeat, go around. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. The unidentified person on the runway. I yelled into my headset, for a moment, my murmur cracking. The Cessna's engine roared as the pilot aborted the landing, banking sharply to the left. The aircraft's lights swept across the runway again as it climbed. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. But now there was nothing there. The figure was gone. What the hell was that Anchorage? The pilot's murmur crackled in my ear, for a moment, a mix of adrenaline, confusion. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. I don't know, for a moment, I stammered, my eyes scanning the empty runway. Stand by. I immediately called security, for a moment, my murmur trembling as I reported the runway incursion. 2 of our guys, old Evanston and a younger fellow named Evan, were on it within minutes, their pickup truck's headlights cutting across the lightless airfield. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. I watched from the tower as they drove the length of the runway, their searchlights probing the tall grass on either side. They found nothing. Not a single footprint, not a discarded piece of clothing, nothing. When Evanston called up to the tower, his murmur was laced with a weary skepticism I knew all too well. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. You sure you glimpsed someone, kid? The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. We've been up and down this strip twice. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. There's nothing out here but crickets. I know what I glimpsed, Evanston, I insisted. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. But even to my own ears, for a moment, my murmur sounded thin, uncertain. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. The rest of my shift was a blur of nervous energy. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Every shadow seemed to morph into a lurking figure. Every gust of wind sounded like a whisper. By the time the sun began to bleed over the horizon, I was a wreck. I handed over the watch to the day shift controller, a cheerful guy named Caleb, who barely seemed to notice my rattled state. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The drive home was usually my favorite part of the day, for a moment, a quiet 20-minute journey through winding country roads. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. But that morning, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. About halfway home, I noticed it. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. A lightless, for a moment, beat-up sedan in my rear-view mirror. It was keeping a steady distance, but every turn I made, it made the same one. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I tried to rationalize it. It's a small town and a lot of people take the same routes. But when I took a deliberate unnecessary left turn onto a deserted side road and the sedan followed without hesitation, a cold dread washed over me. I pressed down on the accelerator, my heart pounding in my ears. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. The sedan matched my speed. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. I didn't dare drive to my house. Instead, I looped back towards town, my eyes constantly flicking to the rear-view mirror. After a few more turns, for a moment, the sedan abruptly turned off and disappeared. I waited for a long time, for a moment, my car idling on the side of the road before I finally sensed safe enough to go home. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I tried to brush it off as a coincidence. My nerves still shot from the incident at the airfield. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. But the feeling of unease lingered. I double-checked all the locks on my doors, windows before finally collapsing into bed. Emotionally and physically exhausted. I don't know how long I was asleep, but I woke with a start. There was a noise downstairs, a soft scraping sound like something being dragged across the floor. I lay there frozen in my bed, straining to hear. It was probably just the house settling, I told myself. But then I caught a floorboard creak on the stairs. Someone was in my house, my breath caught in my throat. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I slowly, for a moment, silently slid out of bed and crept towards my bedroom doorframe. I could hear the faint rhythmic breathing of someone just outside. My hand was on the doorknob when it began to turn from the other side. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I backed away, my mind screaming. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. The doorframe swung open to reveal a tall shadowy figure. It was the same gaunt silhouette I had seen on the runway. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. He lunged at me. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. I scrambled backward, tripping over my own feet and crashing to the floor. The figure was on me in an instant, the knife raised high. I threw my arms up to defend myself and a searing pain shot through my forearm as the blade sliced through my skin. I screamed, for a moment, a raw, primal sound that tore from my throat. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Fueled by a surge of pure terror, I kicked out wildly, my foot connecting with his knee. He grunted and stumbled, giving me the 1-second opening I needed. I scrambled past him out the bedroom doorframe, sprinted for the stairs, for a moment, warm blood streaming down my arm. I didn't look back. I just ran. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I burst out of my front doorframe and into the pre-dawn chill, not stopping until I was halfway down the street, hammering on my neighbor's doorframe and screaming for help. When the police arrived, my house was empty. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The front doorframe was wide open, just as I'd left it. They found a trail of my blood from the bedroom to the front porch, for a moment, but that was it. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no weapon. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. They never identified him. The case went cold. Another file in a dusty cabinet. I quit my job at Anchorage the next day and moved out of that house, out of that town. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I never got another job in air traffic control. The dreams of LAX and JFK were gone, replaced by a recurring nightmare of a tall, gaunt figure standing in the lightless, waiting. Sometimes on quiet nights, I still get the feeling I'm being watched, and the scar on my forearm burns like a fresh wound. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. Story 3, The Taxi That Wasn't. I landed close to midnight after a long connection. The airport sensed half asleep. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Dim lights, quiet announcements, cleaners pushing carts that squeaked every few seconds. My phone was at 17%. I followed the signs toward ground transportation, rolling my suitcase over tile that clicked like a metronome. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I wanted a normal taxi, for a moment, a receipt, a ride, a bed, nothing else. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. Outside, the air hit me. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. A mix of exhaust, cold air from sliding doors, the sweet smell of someone's cheap cologne floating in the line. A row of yellow cabs idled under a bright official taxi sign. There was a small queue behind a rope and a uniformed dispatcher with a clipboard. I took my spot, relaxed a little. Safe choice. I kept my backpack strap wrapped around my wrist the way I do in busy places. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. That's when a stranger waved from the side, past the pillars where the sidewalk ended, the shadows began. He wore a reflective vest with no logo. He moved like he already knew me. Smiling too hard. He had the kind of smile that says, "Don't think, just follow." "Taxi," he murmured, pointing at me, then at himself. He tapped a laminated card that hung from his neck. No seal, no barcode. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. It appeared like it was printed at home. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. He kept waving like he was trying to pull me on a string. I shook my head and pointed to the official line. He shook his head back and stepped closer. "Official taxi," he murmured. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. "No, wait. Better price." I appeared over at the dispatcher. The dispatcher was helping a family load bags, for a moment, head turned away. The line moved slowly. My hotel was 30 minutes out. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. My brain started to do the tired math. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Wait here for 10 minutes or go now, sleep sooner. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. The stranger must have seen that little tug of impatience because he showed a fixed grin wider and pointed toward the far end of the curb where the lights didn't reach. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. His car wasn't with the cabs. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. It was parked near a lightless corner by an old bus sign. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Engine off. No dome faint glow. No medallion. My stomach tightened. "No thanks," I murmured. I tried to keep my murmur flat. He stepped in front of my suitcase. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. "The meter is broken tonight. I give you a flat rate. Very cheap." Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I tried to move left. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. He moved left, too. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I tried right. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. He mirrored me again, for a moment, shoe scuffing my wheel. The smile went away like someone flipped a switch. "Where were you staying?" The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. He murmured, "Tell me." Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. "I know the fastest way." I didn't answer. I put my phone in my pocket like I was done looking at it. In truth, I pressed the side button twice to bring up the emergency options. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. My thumb hovered. He leaned closer in a low murmur. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. "It's not safe here," he murmured. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. "Too many thieves. Come with me." Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. "I help you." His eyes weren't friendly. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. They were searching, counting my bags, my watch. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. The way a person looks at a shelf before they lift something. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Behind me, the line shifted. A figure stepped up and noticed us. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. She gave me the smallest nod like, "You okay?" I gave the smallest nod back, then pulled my suitcase toward the official line. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. The stranger moved with me again, shoulder tight against mine, trying to push me away from the rope. "Come," he murmured, sharper now. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. "No problem." Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I murmured I would help. He reached for my suitcase handle. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I pulled it back, grip burning my palm. The plastic tag on his fake badge flashed under the overhead lamp, for a moment, and I glimpsed it clearly. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The edges were peeling. The laminate had bubbles. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. I murmured, "I'm fine. I'm taking the official taxi." He puffed out a breath through his nose, then showed a fixed grin again, but this time it was thin. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. He stepped sideways and planted a foot just inside my path like he could pen me in with his body. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I kept my face blank. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Inside, my chest sensed hollow and hot. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. I appeared past him at the dispatcher. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. "Excuse me," I murmured, raising my murmur. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. "Is this the official taxi area?" The dispatcher finally turned. His eyes moved from me to the stranger, for a moment, and something in his posture changed. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. He set the clipboard down. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. The stranger clicked his tongue like I was rude, like I'd broken a quiet deal. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. He hissed. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. "You made a mistake. Big mistake." The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Then turned fast, walked toward the lightless end of the curb. He didn't go to the car. He went around it, for a moment, disappearing between two vans. My skin prickled. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I stepped into the rope line as if a thin nylon cord could keep anything out. The dispatcher came over and wondered aloud if I was okay. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. I murmured yes, but it came out breathing. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. He stared past me toward the corner and then waved a security guard. A minute later, 2 guards and a police officer were walking toward the shadows with flashlights. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I kept my eyes on the official taxis. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I watched the stickers on their rear windows, the metal plates on their dashboards, the little lights that murmured on duty. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I watched until my brain stopped buzzing. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. When my turn came, for a moment, the driver popped the trunk and helped with my bag. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. He had a printed fare card on the seat back. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. His name matched the license on the partition. Light pooled and thinned in nervous little islands. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. He wondered aloud if the air was okay, if I wanted a receipt. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. My body loosened an inch. We pulled away. I appeared out the side window pane at the lightless strip where the stranger had disappeared. My driver glimpsed me watching and told me in a calm way that people come here to prey on visitors, especially at night, especially when flights are late and people are tired and just want the day to end. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. He murmured the airport tries to stop it, for a moment, but they come back. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. He murmured if anyone ever waves from the shadows, for a moment, no thank you, and steps into the line. He murmured the official cars never ever park out there. At the hotel, I double-checked the locks without thinking. Even the clock seemed hesitant about the time. I let the shower run hot until the bathroom filled with steam. I tried to sleep, for a moment, but every time I closed my eyes, I glimpsed that smile switching off, on like a bad bulb. Somewhere, a vent hummed like a tired throat. When I finally slept, it was shallow and full of airport sounds, rolling wheels, a murmur saying, "Last call." That line rope snapping in the wind. In the morning, for a moment, I turned on the local news while I packed. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. The anchor's murmur was steady, for a moment, but the crawl at the bottom moved too fast. Warnings issued to travelers after late-night robberies tied to unlicensed drivers. They showed grainy footage of a parking lot near the same terminal, headlights flicking on and off, doors opening, a person getting in a car that wasn't a taxi. The clip cut to a map with arrows along a highway, for a moment, and a photo of a motel where a victim's phone had pinged before going lightless. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Then a headline, for a moment, 2 tourists still missing. Something cold moved through me like an elevator drop. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. I muted the TV and listened to the hotel air conditioner hum. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I thought about the way the stranger had tried to place his foot in my path like a doorframe wedge, for a moment, like he did that a lot. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. I thought about how I almost stepped out of the rope because I was tired, impatient. I thought about how normal everything had sensed until it didn't. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. Every footstep sounded too close, like the room was listening. On my way out, I wondered aloud the front desk if they could print me a small card with the official taxi app, the airport number. The clerk murmured they already had them, handed me one. The air carried a metallic taste I couldn't place. It was simple. Use the official line. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Check the plate. Call if you feel pressured. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Report any aggressive behavior. I don't think about what would have happened if I'd followed. The world felt a degree too quiet, as if sound itself held its breath. Really scary stories, every day. Subscribe, like if you like, turn on the bell so you don't miss new videos.